Yeah, please read the information.
Thank you, Simon. We pledge that we will faithfully and impartially use our skill, wisdom, and judgment throughout discussions and deliberations ahead of us today in order to make responsible and appropriate decisions for the benefit of the South Waitakere district at large. We commit individually and as a council to the principles of integrity and respect and to uphold the vision and values we adopted in our long-term plan strategy document in order to energise, unify and enrich our district.
Thank you, Derek. You were reading.
I know.
I think apologies. We do have a number of apologies. We have Maynard, Councillor Maynard. We have an apology from Councillor Ross, who has all sorts of work going on at the moment. We also have an apology from Brenda, who will be late, and also from Rebecca Fox, who will be late. She was coming down from Manawatu or something. It's raining quite badly at that voice. Acknowledgements. Sorry, can we have a strong move to accept those? Thank you very much, Pam. Seconded, Jeppy. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. All those against, motion is carried. Conflicts of interest. Does anyone have any conflicts with? Acknowledgements and tributes. Do you have any acknowledgements or tributes? I have one. Since it is a council meeting with the passing of Holmes Warren from Puna, who had an MBE for services to farming at 93, a stalwart of the farm for New Zealand.
I just wonder, I mean, she never had a part in the council, but Cheryl Madaman had a big part in the whole Martinborough district, and her passing was just last week too.
Any others? No, right. No public participation. Do we have any extraordinary business? No? Cool. Right, we move on to the suspended item of today's council meeting, B1, which is the adoption of the 2021 to 2031 LTP and spatial plan. So do we have, I move to receive the report, the adoption of 2021 to 31 long-term plan and spatial plan consultation documents and supported information report. Do we have someone to second that? Thank you very much, Councillor Plymouth. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
All those against, the motion is carried. A few words first and then hand over to you, Harry. So this, guys, is our first LTP as a council, and also as the spatial plan. So if I can just make a bit of a preamble to what we're going to be passing today. So every 3 years we need to advance, dig a bit deeper and work out what we're going to be doing or what we see our district happening over the next 10 years. And if there's ever been a time to reflect and focus, it's now. With COVID and a lot of the other changes that are occurring in central government. Our population is projected to grow from 11,500 in 2021 to 14,500 by 2051. And actually, at the moment, it's actually exceeding that. And the number of households is projected to grow from 4,900 odd to 6,300 odd. We are a new council. We're appointed in October 2019. We are bringing fresh ideas on how we can meet the needs of our community. And we have been tasked, I feel, by the public to address the issues that we have seen appearing on the radar rather than hide behind process. There are many ways we can make the South Waitakere a better place to live, but we also need to protect what makes us special. This LTP consultation is extra special as we're aligning it with consultation on residential growth options as the first step in developing the district-wide spatial plan. And this will set the blueprint for what we want the South Waitakere to look like over the next 30 years. We have reconsidered on what we aspire to be, the outcomes we want for our community, and the strategic drivers that will help us get there. And these all make up our strategic direction to guide us in both implementing our long-term plan and our spatial plan. So if for year one of this LTP, if we were to go ahead with our preferred options, which are subject to, of course, to community feedback, the average rates increase for urban ratepayers would be 15.3% or $9.35 per week, 14% for lifestyle, and 7.1% for rural, which is an average, remind me, Harry, of 12.3, but that's not the way we want to present this to the public. The biggest challenges we have facing us over the next 3 years are three waters, the RMA and COVID. We have climate change, and we have roading and spaces that we need to address. And now I'd like to hand over to the CEO, Harry Wilson, for you to make some comment on where we're at.
Thank you. I think this is an impressive and incredible document. I thank you as elected members for your guidance and acknowledge the very hard work that the staff have done to bring your ideas and thoughts to life. It sets our strategic direction as a council. So it sets our vision, the big challenges that we face and what we propose to do to address those challenges. It's been a long journey and an incredible discussion. I think that it's not just the document itself, it's the process on how we got there. This time we reached out externally. We met with multiple parties, and I'd particularly like to acknowledge the reach to Marapenga. I think it's been a fundamentally different change in what we need to do. So we've created breadth and depth in terms of our understanding of what the community do expect from you as its elected members. And we've tried to capture that in a way, the document that encourages people to read the story as a whole, not the sum of the parts. So people often dive into these things and just go to the bit that affects them. I think this picture here is quite deliberately telling the story of the full range of challenges the council faces. It consults on a number of genuine things we're asking the community views. It also talks about some of the significant things that are going to happen and we need to come up with. So bringing that together, I particularly would like to thank Karen and Katrina and Amy. Those three really have worked incredibly to bring the LTP together, and of course Russell and Bree with the geospatial plan. So it's really been trying to get all that work together. But equally, I talked about externally reaching out. This time we also reached into the organisation to try and harness the wisdom of our managers and our staff in terms of things that were important to them in their work, and that's reflected in this work program as well. So it's not just what you read, it's how you get there. And every journey starts with a number of steps, and I think this is a fantastic one. Not the least being bringing the idea of what we need to invest in, but also how we manage and support growth in a geospatial sense or a spatial sense in our community. So the two are linked. Where growth occurs, that's where our investment needs to occur for infrastructure. And so with that in mind, I'd just like to thank the team. And I think it's very, this will be Amy's last day. Amy?
I'm going on holiday for a week and I'll be back for a week and a half.
Okay, so we'll arrange it by that period of time, but I think it's really interesting that she's here. So we've got no childhood yet as well. And so probably the last concluding comments is the really great work auditors have done just to support this. That in itself has been quite a challenge. We have John on the line. We were worried earlier on that we might be facing a qualified audit. So just to put that in perspective, that means that the qualification essentially says that here's the information, here's the consultation, here's the underlying information, and the qualification says we're not quite sure whether the underlying information supports the direction of what we're trying to achieve. So the great news is that if we have the opinion, which, and I quote, the consultation document provides an effective basis for public participation in the council's decisions about the proposed content of its long-term plan, because it fairly represents the matters proposed for inclusion and identifies and explains the main issues and choices facing the council and district and the consequence of these choices. And importantly, the information and assumptions underlying the information in the council document are reasonable. So that's an important assurance to you that the work that we've done is based on the soundest evidence that we can put together. There's nothing's ever perfect. There are some emphasis that I asked John to explain to those matters. So that's not modifying that advice, it's just saying these are some things you need to be aware of. So John, with that in mind, I'll ask you to just explain the commentary you provided to us on the LCP.
Oh, thank you, Harry. So as you're correctly saying, in terms of the two legs of our audit opinion, those are both unmodified. So we've been able to successfully, can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
So we've been able to successfully complete our work, and that brings to close quite a substantial process. We've had to go through masses of amounts of information and also need to work quite closely with the management team to be properly understand everything that's presented in front of us. So we're quite happy at the end of that to come to land on an unqualified opinion. The emphasis of matter in our report really highlight what the council has already disclosed in the consultation document. So there are 4 emphasis of matter paragraphs where we want to draw any reader's attention of the consultation document to. The first one is really a standard inclusion for all audit reports of consultations for the current year, and that highlights the uncertainty over the government's current 3 Waters reform program. So council has made those disclosures on page 5 of the consultation document, and that really outlines where the government is in terms of this reform and what readers can expect to happen over the next year. The second emphasis of matter covers the uncertainty over the Featherston wastewater treatment plant. So council again has been quite clear in the consultation document that the solution, the long-term solution for that plant is still a work in progress. It's working with the community and with service providers to identify what that sustainable solution would be. And then I think the key for us is that the costs of that solution are not in the LTP as it sits currently. There is 16 million worth of costs that have been included. I suppose when you break that down, there's some plant upgrades in there. A lot of that money is for progressing the new consent and the design of the solution. And then there's some effectively renewals work on piping in the township. So we're trying to make it very clear to readers that the solution, it's a work in progress. Council has decisions to make. It needs to consult with its community again, possibly. And those expenses are not yet currently in the LTP. So we're just highlighting those disclosures, which council has already made on pages 6 and 11 of the consultation document. Then we've got an emphasis of matter just to highlight again that the renewals basis for the 3 Waters assets is based predominantly on age and material type. So while we think this is a reasonable basis for forecasting renewals, the older assets get and depending on where they are situated, the soil types, etc., there can be a lot of things that impact condition as well as just the age and material type. So the older assets there tends to be an uncertainty around that as the most reliable basis for forecasting renewals. So again, we understand that Wellington Water has there's budgets in the LTP, and they've got a program of work to better understand the condition of those assets. So for future LTPs, they will bring those condition assessments into the forecasting of the renewals to support the age and material types that the predominant basis is at the moment. So we highlight those disclosures, which are already in the consultation document on page 13. And then the final emphasis of matter is around uncertainty of the delivery of the capital program. And essentially, this is a capital doability. What the last few years, OAG has done an analysis over councils in New Zealand generally against their delivery against their capital program. And what that shows on a national basis is about a 75% achievement of the capital program. As part of this round of consultation document analysis, we've been quite specific in increasing the bar around what we accept as a reasonable capital program. And I guess for South Wairarapa, from what we can see about the plan work, we're quite comfortable the program is reasonable. There's nothing in there that we would say is, you've included in any, especially in any of the first few years, that we would say is unreasonable to attain. Because of the increase in the capital program, though, there is a level of uncertainty in achievement of those. So there can be a lot of dependencies in achievement of those programs, in terms of that program, which the council has highlighted on page 13. And so again, we're just drawing readers' attention to the fact that the program is increased. There are inherent risks around delivery of that program. So those are the four emphasis of matters. Like I said earlier, some of them come from the fact that this round there has been an increase in the bar in terms of what we've been looking for as audits. As the Mayor and Harry mentioned earlier, there's a lot of extra effort being done in areas such as climate change, the impacts of COVID-19, the condition assessments of assets, as well as the capital durability. So we've looked at all those areas, not necessarily in the same way we would have 3 years ago. So I don't know if there's any questions on any of those paragraphs.
Thank you, Joel. It's good to have your comments and information that we're on the right track with regards to this. So thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thanks,
John.
John.
I just would like to say, look, I'm sorry we couldn't get this out earlier. We only got this letter without. Yeah, so we were busy trying to find it in the documents.
I'm just reading it as we go.
We've got it now.
And the auditors were busy trying to go through the process at the same time, so I couldn't have got it to us any earlier.
That's right. It's been great, but the key thing here is this assurance to you from an independent body that the assumptions that we've made in terms of asking our communities to invest in council business is robust. And that's the critical thing about this document. It's an independent policy assurance. So I fully support that advice. That's why we've made sure we receive that information.
Just on that, Harry, does this document go out with it does go out with the LTP?
There's a commentary in
Page 14.
the consultation document.
Try and read
Summarises that.
Thank you.
It's in Latin.
I noticed that.
Yeah, that's the bit in Latin, because they didn't have the.
Oh, I was wondering what the hell was going on.
It's a standard typesetting process where
Yeah, okay, now I got it. Oh, thank you for that.
Were you trying to decipher it?
I was, I got my dad out.
You still got a core Latin or Greek? You shouldn't have told him. I'm getting busy today.
Oh, God, I'm not going, man. Thank God.
Greek to me.
Right, guys. So I also, we'll move to questions in a minute, but I also want to reiterate what Harry said is, we've attended a huge amount of, between the spatial plan and the LTP, a large amount of workshops and meetings and discussions. But that's only the tip of the iceberg to what the staff have had to do here.
Oh,
So we're mindful that when we get down and we look at the process for consultation at recommendation 6, that there's still a lot of work to do. And so I can only thank the staff because I've gone through all the documents and they're all formatted perfectly. And there's the odd spelling mistake, but in general, there's not much. But to have gone through all that and refreshed it for that is a monumental task. And the product of 5 to 6 months of hard work. So well done.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Well done.
Very much.
You and certainly had a whole lot more hair before we started.
We're here before
It's all just falling down.
South Wairarapa.
John, thank you. You can duck up unless you're riveted to attend the rest of the meeting.
That's fine. I'll be exiting now. So well done. I think the document looks great, and best of luck with the consultation.
Thanks to the team, Kelly in particular. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, councillors, do you have any questions about the document and all the reports that are there? All 20 something of them?
Well, I'll tell you what, there's a lot of reading involved. But I guess, you know, with the number of workshops we had, you know, it was just, when I read it, it was a refresh of everything we discussed. And, you know, at the end of the day, I was saying to Karen earlier on today that this is a consultation document. It's never going to be 100% right. But that's why it is a consultation document. We want the feedback. But it's out, when you read the document, it's easy to read and easy to understand. So I expect we'll get some ticks of approval on this.
Yeah. Well, I would like to think that there will be actually less queries.
Yeah.
We've already asked them on a number of different
Yeah.
meetings and as to what they think is important. I would like to think that we've included those within this document. You know, those workshops have been pretty important for us to own this document, that we are happy that we are putting our best foot forward and we're not just relying on the same old when it comes to the future for our district.
It's very logical the way it goes through. It just takes you from point to point to point. And extremely well written. It's great.
I guess the only confusion will come from a lot of the ratepayers is how they work the LTP out separate from the spatial plan. You know, there is a bit of confusion around that.
And well, I think you go that spatial plans are very new to New Zealand.
Oh,
And
yes.
so this is, we're walking into a new era where, you know, I think we can explain that as we go.
Yep.
The spatial plan is umbrella, unspecific, but certainly guidelines, and the LTP is putting effect to that. So I don't see a problem with that.
No.
I hope that the spatial plan doesn't distract from the LTP. But they really do go hand in glove, and actually the timing couldn't be better in line with the regional growth framework, which is actually getting quite a bit of attention over the hill now from government.
The only thing I think would be very useful, and I know you've been too busy, is just have a little sentence explaining to people why someone with a 250,000 land value has a greater rent increase compared to someone with a larger land value. And I know we discussed it a week or so ago, but I think that's going to be a question that comes up.
I also think that in our discussions to the public, we will identify that we have identified the need for a ratings.
Because that goes hand in hand.
Yeah, that we are working under a system and it takes time to change.
I think most people don't understand that it's a formula that you can't just fiddle around with.
Yep. There's one ratepayer that understands it quite fully.
Yeah, and Lee, I can take a point there, but I think it's probably a little bit dangerous to say we're doing a rates review because at the end of the day, we don't know what the outcome of that. It may well be that we end up exactly where we are now.
Yes, we may.
You know, so.
Yeah, but I think we do highlight that we recognise the need to review it.
We recognise
Make
that,
sure it's fit.
Yeah.
Yeah, rather than sort
That's
of
all you can do.
signal any changes, it's a review.
I was meaning more looking at UA GC and how that impacts. Because those people are going to ask, how come your place is worth this? And I'm paying a greater increase compared to you. That I can almost hear. I always can tell the people who be asking those questions.
Right, guys, shall we go through to the substantive part of passing of resolutions?
Can I just add
Yeah.
one thing before you do? Under the infrastructure strategy draft, and we talk about what we've achieved, which is on page 19. Is that appropriate to add in there the new YRF combined waste bylaw? So under the LTP, and then there's the document on the infrastructure strategy draft.
Yes.
And in there we see what we've achieved when we talk about healthy homes and developing climate change and positive ageing strategies. But one of the bigger ones is our waste min bylaw that we've And I just wondered whether that could go in there. That was quite a big body of work for everybody. And I think that's fair. Yep. Thank you. It's the minor things, but I'm going to talk to Karen.
Yeah, I think we can pass them through, and we've also got your vote with section 5 and make changes.
Well, just raise one point. I mean, I think it's great. And I think the people who've done all the work have not got the full credit. And a number of them there's no authors on it. We need to acknowledge that the people, the team that you've done something. I mean, particularly with the environmental summary and the financial stats and that sort of thing. We're not actually getting the emails.
The key thing is actually the partnership with you as elected members and the staff giving effect to it. Right? So it's actually all of our story. It's no. And that's actually the key. It's not the staff, you. It is you and us giving effect to what we've heard in those types of things. We're giving you information, but as elected officials, this is your document.
I know.
And that's the key. That's a key area.
Well, the financial, the summary, the environmental thing, it's a massive slice and it's actually really good.
Yeah.
We'll certainly pass on those comments, we'll provide information to staff, so everybody has contributed, right, from these documents, with all the information that's about running these documents.
Yeah, that's
from all our managers, providing our budget, strategy, there's many things that are involved, so we'll certainly pass those comments.
I think an acknowledgement to the staff
Oh, yeah.
at the public meetings would be absolutely great.
And if it needs cuts,
Yeah.
And
They are here watching. The public are here.
They're very quiet.
Okay, we're move on. Councillor. Sorry, you've missed all the.
No drama. We have no drama here.
Now moving on to the resolutions. So you're just in time. So we've done
Can we ask questions?
that was what we were doing just now.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, by all means, ask.
Sorry, just the one, Katrina, on page 11, the balanced budget. We seem to be, so we're spending more than we're bringing in revenue every year. So we're going to be in a negative budget every year according to that. Am I reading that graph right?
No, you're not.
Operating expense, thank you.
Operating revenue is pink. Have you got an old version?
Oh, you got it. No, you got the old version.
Oh, sorry.
They did the wrong way. So now we are collecting more than we're spending. And the reason that we're collecting more than we're spending is because some of them goes by contribution, so they go into reserve.
So I'm reading it the other way around.
It's true. Giving you the whole version well picked up.
It's correct.
Thank you. So where's the new version?
Put it here.
Have we got a copy of it?
It should be on.
That's what I'm in, Stella.
It should be in the proof. Basically, they're spatial.
why would it be in the section? Oh, no, it's same version.
So where's the current version of Stella?
LTP proof.
Can you see from there?
That's just.
It's the same doc,
Yeah, but
obviously changed the legend. The legend.
I think it's revenue and the grey is expense.
Okay.
Grey is less than the pink.
Yeah, it wasn't in the one I was looking at. So Amy, whereabouts in Stella is the original?
Yeah, that's just going to say that it's new business. In Stella, it's still got the wrong.
Yeah, it's just.
So we're going for the.
Yeah. You're right, the legend is incorrect in Stella.
That was updated on the next content.
Yeah.
So in this version, it's got
That's the one I was looking at.
colours.
Sorry.
So let's see, that's got,
Says
it's the old one.
revenue, expense.
Yeah, expensive high, oh, yeah,
So
they've been changed, that's an older version.
So this was the.
You are delegating to me and
Yeah.
things to fix minor.
Yeah, that has been, we could, it has been fixed.
It's fantastic.
It's just that one.
In one place, we talk about the annual plan instead of the long-term
Oh,
plan.
that's, I found as well.
Yeah, we can collect typos.
Yeah.
After.
That's right.
Because our report is subject to approval, subject to typos, minor amendments.
We were just collect you.
Second,
I promise you I won't.
Just the public will talk them.
Pam,
Good on them.
Pam,
At least they read it.
Pam,
Sorry.
you're on typos. Because if I read them, I will miss them, so you're on typos.
You were voting, you didn't even notice.
You are the typo chair.
That's all right, I've already
Any more comments on this document, which?
Right.
Right, so we've got recommendations 2 through to 6. Now, I'd just like to run through number 6 to give you, because I will take that as read. But if you want to review that now and possibly ask questions regarding the process of consultation. So it's available from the 31st. Submissions will run from 31st of March to the 30th of April. Oral submissions will be heard on 25th, 26th of May. And we also have a reserve day set aside when it's the standard 5-minute submissions. And
so oral submission.
for either, yeah, and 10 minutes for those who want both. Yeah. Makes sense. And we meet on the 30th of June 2021 to adopt the 2021-31 LTP and spatial plan document. Yeah.
Through your worship. With regards to the 5-minute challenge of people getting up in front of 5 minutes, there is leniency if you deem it.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's not just
However,
want to make that point
yeah.
that there is a bit of flexibility if it's a good discussion. And I
It's
just want to
certainly at the discretion of the chair, but we also have a time frame. We also have the ability for them. What I find is that people who are coming to submit, they have already placed their submission in front of us, but then waste that 5 minutes.
Reading it.
then perhaps maybe we need to set
I do it every
the
time. Yeah, I explain to them that we have got it and to leave time for questions. And if they, we've got 2 days with an extra day to do this, and we are getting.
But that's stock standard normal, how many days we've got to do this.
Indeed. However, that is at the discretion of the chair, and generally, unless there's obvious need to then we will be sticking with the timelines.
No, I get that. I just wanted to make mention.
Thank you. It's good standing with us.
Yes, it is.
Right.
And it's just a wee problem that if you give you 10 minutes.
No, it's not that. If it's a good discussion and we feel that we could explore it more, I think there should be leniency for that.
I'll be
I do.
Alex, just on that, because it happens time and time again, they read the whole submission we've got. Is there any way that we can pre-warn them that?
I do every time.
No, even before they come.
We do in a visa to them. We
Yeah.
tell them and explain to
Oh,
them the
good.
process.
But they still do it.
And we've even got ex-councillors who do that.
you know.
So, I'm saying they ask for more time than they really are getting much right. So, anyway, with that, I'm going to read through and I'm going to ask that we vote as on items 2 to 6, but I'm going to, the Auditor General's report required by section 93(4) of the Local Government Act 2002, that we adopt the spatial plan consultation document mapping out our future to 2050 residential growth options for consultation. We authorise the Chief Executive, Mr. Wilson, to make any non-material amendments to the documents and or information attached to or referred to in the officer's report, as well as amendments that may be required to to ensure the documents and or information align with the Auditor General's report and approve the as mentioned process for consultation. Do we have someone move that? Councillor Haynes, seconded Councillor Ems. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
All those against, the motion is carried. And with that,
Well done.
we, I know it's been a rubber stamping, but this is a big, it's a big step forward, guys. Well done.
Happy days.
Ooh,
Well, no, no, never homework starts.
You're gonna read it. No, we've got a lot of meetings.
Seven.
And we need to know this backwards in order to answer any questions.
Yeah.
So with that, people, thank you very much, and especially those who raced to come here just to do the, I declare the meeting closed.
Nice, I can have some lunch.
Yes.
I just want to ask a question. Is it possible for councillors to receive one hard copy each? Because
Yeah.
I actually.
So we're trying from here, so there's a media release, short release, in front of go to the presentation.